What's up, fam? I'm Milton from TeamFFLEX. You are on the Iron Palace, and this is the show I do every Tuesday where we talk about your training. Today, we're going to talk about peak week training, and this will be a good video for any of you competitors out there, no matter what division you're doing. I can guarantee you're going to learn something about that peak week training, alright? Please do me a favor, subscribe to my channel, and share this video out, because this is just one of the 5 awesome shows I run all week for you, teaching you how to get your best. It's Coach Rye from TeamFFLEX. This is the Iron Palace. So yesterday on, what is that called on Mondays? Protein Power, we were talking about peak week nutrition. I got a lot of good feedback from a lot of competitors out there, a lot of people watching. I appreciate it when you give me feedback. It helps me do these better. And everybody was like, wow, that was awesome. Changed the game. So if you haven't checked that video out, I would go back and watch that. And this is kind of a part 2 to that in a way, right? Because when we're talking about nutrition during peak week, we're only really talking about half the equation. We're going to talk about that training too. And since today's Iron Palace, where we always talk about training, I figured why not? Let's talk about your peak week training a little bit, and hopefully I can give you some more insight, okay? So here's the thing about peak week training. I'm going to reiterate a few things I said yesterday in case you don't go watch the other video. Peak week should be your easiest week of prep. Alright? And the reason that I say this is because the work should have been done. Note what I just said. The work should have been done. You should not be trying to peek into anything in peak week, contrary to what a lot of coaches and a lot of competitors will say and tell you and all that. In reality, if you have done your prep correctly, if you gave yourself enough time, you executed the diet right, you did the training right, well, you should be pretty much ready to go into your show. We're talking about, 10, maybe more days out from it. You should be settling in, rolling into that peak week easy. It's an easy week because you don't have anything that needs to be done, and you also know that in that 7-day span of time, there's no magic that's going to happen, right? You've been prepping for 12, 16 weeks, maybe more. There's nothing dramatically going to change in your peak week despite what anybody wants to tell you, or they just want to sell you, fam, all right? So let's talk about what you should be doing with your training, though. Your training in peak week should heavily revolve around whatever last-minute things you got to fit into the routine, okay? So sometimes during peak week, what I'll have competitors do is I will change their training just so slightly in the amount of days that they're actually going to train. That's always going to be the actual first thing that changes with a competitor coming into peak week. I don't want competitors training close to their show. Hear what I just said. I don't want competitors training close to the show. It's very rare, actually, that I will have anybody train 2 to 3 days out from their competition. So let's say competition's on a Saturday. I usually have people's last training day be on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Now, there are those few anomalies out there, and if you're watching one of my clients that train on a Thursday or something like that, hey, you know what? We're not talking about you. We're talking about the general sense. Training for the most part in peak week for most competitors that I've worked with, and what I suggest for everybody else would be, hey, stop your training on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Now you might say, why would I do that? Why would I take all those days off? Why would I not train all the way up till show day? Well, there's a few reasons that you should strongly consider taking some days off before your competition. Number 1, traveling, okay? A lot of competitors don't factor this in, and then all of a sudden it's peak week, and they're like, oh my God, I'm actually on a plane this whole day, and then I gotta drive here, and I gotta get there. Where am I gonna train? How am I gonna train? And it adds stress. It adds stress to you in peak week, which is already stressful. Most people are already nervous, and guess what that can do? That can throw your physique off. Get a nice cortisol boost in the middle of peak week, and I guarantee your physique's looking different than it did before you had it, okay? It can definitely affect you. If you're traveling to your show, most people do, especially if you're doing nationals, right? These only happen in a few select cities in the country. Well, now you got to get on a plane, you got to travel, you got to get into a routine, you got to check into a hotel, you got to do all this stuff, and it oftentimes just too much, and it actually hinders your body more. Okay? Number 2 thing you should really consider is the fact that training, if you do it correctly, if you're actually training hard and you're lifting and you're trying to do all of what you're doing in the gym, well, a lot of times that has side effects in itself on your physique. Now, this doesn't matter in everyday training while we're working in a prep or while we're in our improvement season, but coming into a show, it can affect you. Some things I'm talking about would be water retention and things like that, right? And other hormone responses that can change your physique to look different. Now, if you've ever done a super heavy leg day and you've woke up the next day, or even just leaving the gym, sometimes your legs are heavy, they're tired, they're sore. You know what's happening? The recovery process. Your body has already started that and shuttling all this water and everything else in there to aid in protein synthesis, muscle growth, and strength adaptation. Well, what happens when you start doing this, if you do that next to a show, is you risk showing up at competition having water retention or being too sore that you can't pose good. All things important to consider, right? And this is why you should probably stop training in the middle of the week. Not to mention the final bit, number 3, which dare I say is probably the most important out of all these. This is the most mentally tough week of your prep, okay? Peak week might be the easiest week of prep all around, but it is mentally the hardest part because you're getting in your own head, okay? I know this happens to all competitors. I don't care if it's your first show, your 25th show, you're an amateur or you're a pro. I guarantee you are getting in your head during this final week of prep. And why does that happen? Well, because you're stepping out of the comfort zone, right? You've been training for something for so long, you're coming into the show, it doesn't matter if you've done it 1,000 times, you want to do your best, you're nervous to go out on stage in front of people, you're nervous to see what your placing is, all these different things can get in your head, especially with social media, competitors looking at other competitors, trying to find the hashtag of their show, and stare at who's competing and start making assumptions. You're getting in your head, okay? So you get nervous, you get off track, you can get frantic, you can get anxiety, you can have all sorts of things happen, not to mention the fact that you have all these different appointments and things like that are so out of the norm for you, like getting spray tanned multiple times, right? And we're not talking about, if you go to the tanning salon or whatever. We're talking about bodybuilding spray tan. It's a whole different thing, okay? It's very strange for a lot of people, honestly. You got, women, you got your hair and your makeup. Some of the dudes do the makeup in men's physique and things these days, right? You got these appointments. You got all other appointments, too, that you got to make as far as, hey, here's when prejudging is. Here's when the athlete meeting is. Here's when you got to be back. Here's when you're going to go on. And all these things can be so stressful, not to mention we could rope in that travel and everything else I talked about and trying to coordinate hotel check-ins and so on and so forth. It can be a lot, ladies and gents. One of the main reasons I have competitors take that time off is for that exact reason. Hey, you got a few extra days now to get your shit together, to put your mind at ease, to relax, to kind of sink into this. Because again, like I said, especially if you're on TeamFFLEX, the work's been done before peak week. I'm never trying to peak anybody into anything because I don't believe in it. I know it's all bro science. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the last video on the nutrition and it will make sense to you, okay? And then do your own damn research. Truth is, nobody's peeking into anything. But what I do know can be changed is things like what I just said. You can easily make your peak week more comfortable by putting your mind at ease through doing different types of, mindset things where you're doing maybe some meditation, you're doing some more goal setting, you're journaling, whatever it takes. Just the act of accomplishing things that are on your mind, stressing you out, like, when am I going to be here? What am I going to be there? What do I got to do here? What do I need to do to prepare? When do I pack all this? You start doing those things, you're going to put your mind at ease. And you're going to make this mentally tough part of this peak week very, very easy and very much more so relaxed. And that's going to enable you to be able to go forth into your show with better confidence, right? It's going to mean you're going to get on stage and present better, smile bigger, not shake as much because you're not as nervous. You're going to feel good. You're going to know going into your show you did everything that you could do. And let me tell you this, as a competitor, when you do that, it changes the game for how you can perform on competition day, which guess what? Can dramatically influence and change your placing. So it's definitely something you want to consider. That is the main reason that I have training stop midweek, okay? So what physically, though, does this training look like? We talked about, all right, well, you've said we should stop training, 3-4 days out from our show, and we understand the reasons now. We get the benefits, we get the know-how. Well, what else is actually involved in those days of the peak week that are happening before it? Here you go. So you have maybe, within that actual peak week, that 7-day span of time, depending on what program you're following, what your coach got you on, you got 3, maybe 4 days where you can train, okay? And I'm going to talk about just the front of the week, basically. So let's talk about if you stop training on Wednesday, that's your last training day. What would you do on a Monday, a Tuesday, and a Wednesday? And this will relate to all divisions, so bikini, wellness, men's physique, classic physique, whatever. All this will be fitting in there the same way. On a Monday, do a lower body day, okay? Do a lower body day. And the reason I'm saying do a lower body day is because if you're training very hard, and I'm giving you generic rules because honestly, this would be totally different for each person. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But if I'm giving you some generic answers here, do your lower body on a Monday. Why? Because it prevents you from getting so sore that it's going to be hard to pose. It prevents you from holding extra water. It prevents all these things by the time show day comes. Monday, in this scenario, would actually be your last lower body day to do before your show, okay? So you do it on this Monday, you train with the right intensity, all this stuff will vary. Usually what I suggest is don't train hard, don't train heavy. Get in there, get moving, do your workouts, go through the movements, get all that in. Don't be going out of your way to add weight in peak week. Don't be going out of your way to get yourself sore in peak week. It's not gonna help you, okay? It's only gonna hurt you. So I strongly suggest, follow the same routine, don't add new exercises in, do the same stuff you've been doing your prep, do it a little bit lighter, focus on your form better, have a good workout, and use this as another way to have a mental benefit during your peak week, okay? Now, Tuesday, in this scenario, upper body day, okay? Upper body day now, and again, because upper body is not necessarily as important in regards to if you're so sore, it's going to mess up your posing, etc., right? So you can do your upper body day on a Tuesday. And generally, no matter what happens, you're going to be okay. Even if you got sore shoulder or something like that, you trained too hard on accident, I don't know what happened to you. If that happened, then you know what? You're probably still going to be all right because you got plenty of time to recover now before your Saturday show, before your day. And again, it's the upper body, which is not dramatically going to affect you. And it's not necessarily the area that most competitors have a hard time holding water and stuff like that. Anyway, usually that's down in their legs. If you think you're holding water in your upper body, I would tell you you probably just are not at the right level of conditioning. Okay, so that upper body day comes in, same idea as that lower body day on Monday. We want to train with good reps, good sets, not necessarily going out of our way to add weight or do anything crazy or get sore. Try to avoid getting sore if possible at all during this training phase. Now, we're on our Wednesday. This is our final training day. This is an interesting day now, though, because this could be a combination of anything. By this time, hopefully you know approximately what your physique's going to look like. One thing I didn't talk about that's very, very important in the coaching process, for me as a coach especially, is the daily check-ins during peak week, okay? And that's every day in the form of pictures and videos, the same angle the judges would see in the morning. I want to see what these competitors are looking at. I want to see what TeamFFLEX competitors look like. Hey, how's everything shaping out? Okay, we did the legs yesterday, looking good. Okay, we did upper body. Now, Wednesday comes along, I've already got 4 or 5 days of information, depending on how long I've been having them do daily check-ins, Show day is about 3 days out right now, and so I'm looking at it and saying, okay, where are we at? What do we need to do on this last day? What could be done? And sometimes I'm going to say, hey, you're doing just cardio today. Literally go to the gym, walk on the treadmill, do 30 minutes, head home, you're done. Or sometimes I'd say, you know what, let's actually do this, a little bit of that. Maybe I want to work the physique in a certain way, so I'm going to build you a workout based on what you look like today that I want you to do to give this result tomorrow. This type of stuff, this is where this can get very complex. But I'll tell you straight up, not doing a lot of legs this day, not doing a lot of upper body this day either. If anything, it's a full body type day, lighter than normal, different things we're doing for specific purposes that I'm not going to dive into because it's different for every person. And then, maybe it's just cardio. And then guess what? You're relaxing Thursday. You're probably traveling by then maybe. Definitely traveling by Friday. You're on show day. You're one and you're off the stage, right? All these things have a sequence for happening. One thing that's very important that I kind of just hinted to a bit, but I didn't really dive into much, is this daily check-in that needs to happen during peak week. It's crazy to me that a lot of coaches don't do this because they don't. I hear it all the time from different competitors I've worked with. Oh, I've never done the daily check-in. Oh, that was never a thing. Oh, my coach didn't even check in with me before my show at all. It's insane. I'm doing a daily check-in in the form of progress pictures, body stats. This is what all the coaches on TeamFFLEX we do. And then we're also checking in verbally. Hey, how are things going? How you feeling today? Because that all needs to be addressed. Again, for a competitor to be their best on stage, we got to have all of these things working together. We got to have the body and the mind working and making sure all this is taken care of. It's not just about the physique. It's not just about manipulating little things to the physique. That's why yesterday in the other video about nutrition, I dived into all that bullshit being bullshit. Because at the end of the day, it is. What you got to worry about is bringing your best. If you've done the work, if you did the prep right, it's ready to go. Now you got to get there. You got to show up and actually bring it. Because if you don't, that's where it can hurt you, okay? So you got to look at the body and the mind, and these things got to be in harmony and in sync to bring your best on show day. So that daily check-in, when that's going on, I'm going to build these routines, that Monday lower body, that Tuesday upper body, and that Wednesday whatever. I'm going to build those based on what I'm hearing, based on what I'm seeing, based on how the check-ins are actually going. And that's kind of this whole peak week thing, because I didn't dive into specific exercises for you. I didn't dive into specific sets and reps for you. I didn't do any of that because I can't. Because at the end of the day, it's all individual to each person. If we're talking about the fact that every person is different, which we know, competitors are different, all competitors are different, you could be the same height, the same weight, you could be an identical twin, you're still going to look different on stage. And so if that's true, we got to build all these things specifically custom to you. And that's what we've always done on TeamFFLEX and what I thought was so important. And I know unfortunately a lot of coaches, they send out generic, protocols, they send out this and that, they send out all this generic stuff. And it's just not going to be your best. If you're a competitor, you're trying to become your best, you want to have the best coaching you can get, which should be customized in my opinion, okay? And so with that, you got to understand, hey, you know what? What I told you today might change. I might have somebody do upper body on a Monday. I might have them do lower body on Tuesday. I might do something crazy on Wednesday. Hey, I might even have a few people train on Thursday. And the reason would be because it's individual to each person and everything's totally customized. And if I know my athletes, I know my clients, I know how they're going to respond. If your coach knows you, if they know what you're going to do, if they know your body, they've been working with it, and they know what's going to happen, then yes, of course, there can be reasons to break the protocols and things I just stated for you. But hopefully now you get an idea of how you should train, and actually you should emphasize more on rest, because while these things might change, what exercise you do and when, so on and so forth during peak week, there's some stuff that just won't change. You should definitely not be training too close to your show unless there's a very specific calculated reason you're doing so, that your coach is basically becoming some kind of wizard guru at that point and knows it's going to benefit you in some way, Because as a general rule, it will not. As a general rule, you should focus more on your mindset. As a general rule, you should take more time off. You need to spend more time meditating and doing things like that than trying to do any last minute cardio. Because again, at the end of the day, trying to go into the gym and do, crazy workouts all week and add in extra cardio and do all this stuff, it's going to hurt your physique more than help you, okay? It will hurt you because you're going to stress your body out. You will become overstressed, and you will have a miserable day as a competitor, showing up mentally taxed, as well as probably physically, you're going to look far, far worse. We all hear about these competitors. I've seen dozens and dozens, probably hundreds over the years. I'm sure you've seen them if you've been in the sport. Maybe it's been you, where, they look really good 7 days out from their comp, and they looked really good 7 days after the comp. But actual competition day, they looked like shit. And that's because of that peak week. That's because of the nutrition and the sodium and the water and all this weird manipulation that we talked about yesterday on Protein Power. That's because they train wrong and they add too much cardio. They think adding these things in, their coach thinks adding these things in, they're going to peak them in 7 days. And in reality, it's the worst thing you can do. Changing things in peak week is a bad idea. Stick to the same stuff you've been doing and honestly back off of it a little bit. Let your body de-stress. Let your body rest. Let your head get in the game so you can show up and perform your best. I hope today I've given you all competitors out there something to think about when it comes to this. And if you don't have somebody that's doing this for you the right way, or this hasn't been your experience, maybe you're doing this yourself and you don't know where to start, go to TeamFFLEX.com right now, and you can put your email in and subscribe to our free trial. It's a totally free trial to our coaching where me or one of my coaches, we will help you get set up and help you exactly with what I just talked about today. If you want some examples of peak week workouts, awesome. We'll set you up and it's all free, okay? Go over there, check it out. This is world-class coaching with world-class coaches, and it's totally free for you to check out. No obligation to buy anything. I'm not going to take a cent from you. You don't have to put a card in or anything. It's totally free experience. TeamFFLEX.com. Put your email in that list, and we will see you on the other side. Thank you for watching the Iron Palace. If you liked this video today, you got anything out of it, please first subscribe and then share it out. Even if it's just with one friend, but you can also take a screenshot right now, put it on your story, tag us at TeamFFLEX, and this is going to help your friends. This is going to help you. This is going to help anybody you know that competes. Maybe you don't even compete and you somehow landed here watching the video. Well, share this to help your friends that do and anybody else out there that needs it, because unfortunately, I'm so sick and tired of seeing so many competitors work so hard, invest so much time, invest so much money, and they don't get where they want to be, and they don't get the results that they could have. They're basically getting cheated of the results they could have because of bad coaching practices, bad peak week protocols, and so on and so forth. So videos like this are huge, they are pivotal, and they will change your game, and you can change the game of everybody else. Let's all win together. Thank you for watching. I'm Milton from TeamFFLEX. This is the Iron Palace. I'll be back tomorrow for first call out. See you tomorrow. Coach Ryan is that.
I need to know everything, who and the what and the where. I need everything.